All right. Welcome in, everybody that's here. Probably have some joining in as we go, but just wanted to go ahead and get started, be respectful of everyone's time. Appreciate everyone joining on tonight. Really excited to get these back going as we started last year during the pandemic. Wasn't sure what we are going to do, but glad to be back with three levels. Got three very special guests this tonight. Obviously, I don't know if many of you have seen or if you're around basketball, you probably have at some point seen or heard. But we got the staff from East LA Community College with us tonight, Coach Rob, Coach Ken, and Coach Mosley. Kind of how we're going to go is everyone's going to share, each of them, a little bit what they want to share, their journey, and what they want to share. And then we'll have time for questions at the end. And then we'll kind of circle back with that once we get to that point. So we'll have each coach share first, and then questions will come at the end after Coach Mosley goes to finish us out. So first up tonight, we'll start with Coach Rob. Again, I first want to thank all three of these coaches, Coach Rob, Coach Ken, and Coach Mosley. Obviously, after watching the series, me personally, with my journey, kind of being in a wheelchair the last 5 years, really connected with all three on different levels, but really connected with Coach Ken just from his journey and reached out to him and started building a relationship and just kind of mentioned it to him. And he said, reach out to Coach Mosley. And I thought I'd be throwing a shot in the dark, but Coach Mosley responded, and we're glad that they're all here. So without further ado, I'm gonna be quiet and let the guest of the night take over. So first up, we'll have Coach Rob. So Coach Rob, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Hey, thanks for having me on, Dave. As all the coaches will tell you, um, we're grateful for the opportunity anytime to shed light on JC basketball and the positive things. Anytime you can show a positive light on young brothers, it's all positive because so many times that light is dark, and so I'm grateful for the opportunity. By this time too, like me and Mo and Ken, like this ain't our first rodeo. So hey, whatever you got to say, hey, you'll be able to. You could probably count us down at 10, 9 in the background, and we just slide on out whenever you need it. We got this down. But hey, I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy to see everybody. Most of the time when I'm asked to come on this, first thing is like, what's kind of was your background and what's your story? Or if you do know anything about my story, probably you're gonna ask is like, what's a 47-year-old man doing driving an hour a day to make no money in East Los Angeles? Like how do you get to that? Like how do you get to that point in your life? That's a story that's a story in itself. It's a every coach on here, if you've been successful, especially at the college level, then at some point you probably had to work out of your car or for free. If you wanted to jump on at a high level at high school, you probably just was working for free, trying to hang on, do camps, just whatever it is you could do. The interesting about my story is that I flipped it. You're supposed to do that when you're young. When you're in your 20s, you're fresh out, when you don't have a mortgage, you don't have kids, you don't have a car payment, you don't have all these things, and you're like, okay, let me jump out there and volunteer and earn my stripes. But mine was a little different. When I got done playing, I immediately got a head high school basketball job, and it was a pretty good job in Riverside, California, and I rode that out for almost 2 decades. And so by the time that came to an end, I decided like, hey, I've always wanted to do junior college. I wanted to do college. And so I started at 47, what most cats start at 23 or 24 years old. So like I said on the show, that was real. Coach gave me a great opportunity and a stipend, and said, I'll see you. In the beginning, he was like, hey, I'll see you at practice. And then as he saw I was coming more and more, he gave me more responsibility. Then he's like, hey, I'll see you at study hall. And then it was like, hey, man, I'll see you as soon as you can get here in the morning to help out. And so that was kind of the trajectory of that. But the experience of going to a high school to JC, that's kind of what I was going to talk about from a background, kind of what's that like. Uh, high school is high school's not bad, but I'm not for sure how it is across the country. I've only taught and coached high school in California. Highly competitive. Everybody cheats, and nobody acts, and nobody. It's actively known how you go about getting good players, but everybody acts like they don't do it. I mean, there's a reason why you see these teams in Cali and they got all these players on them, and none of them are from anywhere close to where the high school is. And across the country, when you see that, it's not that big a deal, right? But in Cali, these coaches really act like it's they really act as though like those kids, like they didn't go get those kids like from somewhere else. So I myself did that, and I went and got some kids about 7 years ago, and was very successful for a 3 or 4 year run in high school. The biggest difference I had seen, and you guys can attest to this if you're high school, is parents. My gosh, I don't miss those. I don't miss parents at all. But what I learned through this journey, through high school, was communication with parents. That was the biggest thing. And then when you get successful, when I mean communication, when you can sit down with a family when they're freshmen, sophomores, or juniors and be like, hey man, your kid ain't playing. You can go in a different direction right now, but he's not going to play. That's hard when you're young. Because when I first started out, those were difficult conversations, but as I got later on. Now, when I got to college, you deal with parents differently. Now, the parents are more inclined to support you a little bit more, especially at ELAC, because they came to us with problems. And so in high school, I was the problem why they weren't playing. When you go to junior college, they understand that their kid is usually the problem as to why they're not playing or where they need to be. And so that was the biggest one, of having that support. Even when the show came out, randomly one night, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, randomly, Malik's father calls me, Malik Muhammad, who was on the show. And Malik Muhammad's father called me, and he goes, Coach Rob, I need to tell you thanks. And I was like, all right, I worked with Malik. He goes, no, thanks. He goes, because my kid is lazy. But you did say he was lazy, but you also said how hard he works when he comes to practice. And throughout the season, Malik's dad was very supportive of Coach Hunter and what he was trying to do with Malik and myself. And so that was kind of the big difference I had seen between those two levels, is that the parents are a little bit more receptive to help you push, because they know that if their kid is talented, they did something wrong. The kid did something wrong. The family did something wrong. Something went wrong. But I don't miss high school at all. But I did it for 20 years, and it was cool. It was fun. I played a little college ball as well. What's interesting about my playing career is that I played at a junior college, I played at the Division I level, and I played at the Division II level. So I pretty much hit them all. And it was an interesting perspective playing in those and seeing the different competition and how much they care at those different levels. And I use that when I coach here at the JC level. But what happened on the show was real. I was driving an hour a day. I was making no money, but I was blessed and fortunate that one coach gave me a shot. He said, yeah, I need some help. Come on in. I'm gonna give you some responsibility. And I've been able to learn how to be a college coach. I'm not a college. I mean, I'm coaching college, but it's a learning process. And so I'm in a great situation. And the last 2 years have been incredible, because I'm starting to earn my stripes at this level, and was just grateful for the opportunity. And it was just pure coincidence and faith and a plan of something higher that even brought Netflix into my life, and how that happened. And Coach Mosley made that happen. Coach Mosley made that happen. Hey, that was the star of episode 5. If you saw me walking my dog, that's Bodie, who is he gets a little wild when people come home. But Hey, grateful to be here. Be happy to answer any questions, and more than that, happy to connect with everybody that's here afterwards. We can connect, and you never know where any of us will be a year from now. Hopefully, we can help each other out down the road as coaches of the greatest sport ever invented.
Awesome. Well, Coach Rob, obviously appreciate you sharing, and we'll definitely get the questions at the end. And if at any point you guys want to drop any coach on here, if you want to drop your contact information in the chat box, I know we got a lot of coaches on here and probably some more joining. You want to drop your contact information, feel free. With obviously coaching's a big relationship business, so we can help foster any here, be good. Next up, we'll go to Coach Ken. Obviously, like I said, Coach Ken and I, as he's kind of the reason that these guys are on here. Him being so gracious to accept my message, but excited to hear from him as well. So I'll turn it over to Coach Ken.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody is well and blessed, man. And definitely glad to be here, like Coach Rob said. And, it was a pleasure. Actually, I almost forgot about the interview that quick. I was on a track with a couple players and my sons and, doing some work, man. And, lo and behold, at 6 o'clock jumped on me. I actually thought it was this morning. That's why I was panicking when I texted inbox you earlier, man, and thought it was a 9 a.m. interview. So, I had the timing all jacked up, but it gets like that, man. It's, a lot of different requests and interviews and, trying to do your job and coaches calling all the time, players calling all the time. So, it can get overwhelming at times, but we definitely grateful to be here. As Coach Rob said, man, Coach Mosley has given us an opportunity to do something special, man. And, every year is a little different, but every year it's a special season. It's something different to the season. We don't never know what that's going to be every particular season or who's going to need that extra help but we enjoy the process. We enjoy going through the journey. What you saw on Netflix is, a typical year for us. We have a lot of success. We produce a lot of kids and a lot of parents trust us. And, we know the blueprint to working the right way and being successful at what we're trying to do. And we don't judge success off of wins and losses. We judge success off of the dedication and the hard work that we able to get out of these kids, and then moving them on and getting them free educations and, so they can start life not in the red, not in the negative, and go on to be successful and positive human beings. I've always enjoyed basketball, played, got into coaching. Coaching found me, and it's been a blessing, man. I just try to work my butt off, try to do what I can to provide whatever Coach Mosley need us to do that particular year. A lot of times I'm responsible for the recruiting and doing some of the personal development, both on and off the court. And actually last season I was supposed to have been sitting back some doctor's orders. I was supposed to have been chilling out, and as y'all see, it can get testy at times, and you're not at the JUCO level. You don't even get to chill out much. So I'm so glad Coach Rob came along, and he took a lot of pressure, not just off of Coach Mosley, but off of me too. Because he was able to come in and provide a lot of the individual work and be a new voice to some of the kids. And being that he played at each level, man, the experience in this business, both coaching and playing, is so valuable, because you can, kids can learn through trial and error, but you can help some of that error by sharing your personal experiences with these kids. And the main part of this generation, man, especially at our level, is developing those relationships where we get those kids to open up and trust us and be able to, not just talk about basketball, but really get down to the root of what's going on in those kids' lives and be able to have real change. I know a lot of people always ask us about Joe Hampton, and they were able to see the process of, you know, Joe was actually not that bad of a kid, but he had moments in his life where he struggled with things he didn't know who to open up to. He had just been crushed a ton of times by different coaches in different situations. And as we know, when you go through life and you get hurt, it's hard for you to trust again. It's hard for you to trust people again. It's hard for you to trust coaching again. And between the three of us, me, Coach Mosley, Coach Rob, we was able to get that out of him, and he allowed us to coach him again, allowed us to trust again, and now he's successful again, man. And now he's actually having very high success, to the point where NBA agents and NBA personnel is calling about Joe and seeing how he's doing, and he's actually doing real, real well, man. So them are some of the things that we do it for. Them some of the things that I enjoy the most. And then I always enjoy giving back and reaching out. And if we can help somebody, we definitely here to help them. And it's not just about the basketball side of things. It's about enhancing your community, making sure that we try to do all that we can to make sure not just we're successful, but the environment is successful, people around us are successful, and the guys that we move on are successful, and they're giving back once they, reach their journey and know what they want to do in life. But I'm, blessed to be here. We are open book. We don't mind answering any type of questions. I don't mind answering anything from the injuries to coaching to how I do some things. And, anybody want to ask anything, we'll be here when it's all said and done.
Awesome. Well, Coach, Ken, obviously appreciate that. And I can't wait to get to the question and answer part, just to hear, you guys unpack things. So last up, before we get to our Q&A part, we'll go ahead and go to Coach Mosley. Obviously, the leader of the pack and, the guy that kind of is front and center, but I know he wouldn't be able to do it without these guys behind him and beside him. So, but I just want to say real quick, the biggest thing that drew me to Coach Mosley that as far as relating to on the show was obviously how outspoken you were with your faith. I know people, especially in our business, can be sort of bashful about that or, kind of want to put it under a lamp, if you will, but you're not afraid to let that light shine. So I respect that for you, Coach, and obviously, don't stop doing that. But without further ado, people don't want to hear me talk; they want to hear you. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Coach Mosley.
Yeah, Dave, well, you smooth, man. You could talk. You sound smooth. Hey, you know what? Everybody on here, man, we all the same, man. We just got an opportunity to be on this little platform. When they asked me to do this thing, I was like, man, I'm not doing that junk. Like, don't nobody. My life is kind of boring. Like, I'm just a coach, and we'll crack a couple jokes, but I'm family, church, all that. And I didn't think I could be as entertaining. So, but I think the authenticity, I think like all of you guys, that just being authentic and being real about and being intentional about what we're trying to do. He talked about my faith. I think the biggest thing, forget the coaching and all that other stuff. If there was anything that I was excited and I was scared, but then now I'm excited because it's pretty much been the point that I was trying to make, and I was grateful that the God's hand was on the producers and all of that. It was amazing. I was just like, I'm like still shocked. Like, I can't believe that they let me say all that and they put it all in there. And because there was some stuff in there. We was happy it didn't get on there. Hey, Rob, we was bagging on LeBron like a mug. I was so happy that didn't get it there. But anyway, but to share the faith, and I was speaking at San Diego Christian, and that came up, and it was like, man, I just didn't want God to look bad, because you know what happens, man. if you're a Christian, and I don't know if there's Christians on here, people of faith, but it's people that turn people away from God, because God is amazing. So people get turned off from God because of people like me. And so I was like, man, I need to make sure I set an example uh, in terms of my faith and make sure that I don't make God look bad. Because, we didn't see some reality stuff, right? Where in the reality stuff, they start out, they Christians, right? Or they believers or people of faith. But then all of a sudden you were like, wait a minute, that's how they act? You know what I'm saying? And I didn't saw the reality. I even told my pastor, I said, I don't want to do it because I don't want that to happen. Because, hey, if you would have hit me up in my 20s, man, I would have been you would have saw a real star. But by this time, I'm like, man, I don't need all that crap, man. I got my family. I ain't trying to get fired. But initially, man, the whole deal was to, hey, let's try to make sure he doesn't look bad. And in that sense, still do what we do, which is making sure we try to get these young men out. In regards to what really gets me, and for all of us coaches, I think my biggest success comes from having this chip on my shoulder. And and I don't know how you find it, but sometimes I gotta find a chip. I gotta get pissed off. If a coach roll his eyes at me, okay, now we beating him by 50. He probably wasn't rolling his eye. He probably has something in his eye. But if he roll his eyes, if it looked like he rolling his eyes, we gonna beat him by 50, right? I'm finding a reason to have some sense of urgency or whatever. But I think that started when I was younger. I'm a smaller guy. I'm about 5'10" and a half. I was always good enough, but I wasn't always the guy that everybody was celebrating. So I was looking to be celebrated, and for whatever reason, I was like, man, why you ain't noticing me? So I'm like, yeah, why you not noticing me? And that bothered me for a long while, and everything, as a player, as throughout my playing career, as a coach, and all of that stuff. And so that keeps a chip on my shoulder. And we try to drive to these young men that there's, our biggest thing is, can we change these responses that all of these guys have? Because most of them come in, they talented, everybody's got something. Hell, they wouldn't be on the team if they didn't have a little bit, right? But we try to change the response so they can be successful when they move on to the next level. And that takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of compassion. It takes a lot of digging in, as Coach Ken talking about relationships and all that. And it takes a hell of a staff too. So I don't know. I was lucky. Yeah, I know everybody probably be sitting here. You probably, if you're a head coach or assistant, is like, man, that was a cool staff. Hell yeah, we was cool. It was fun. We got along. It was exactly what you saw. You know what I'm saying? Rob came in after summer. He barbecuing. He playing oldies. It was all good, all perfect. Coach Hunter, we all got a sense of, we had the same deal. It just worked out. And we all have a chip on our shoulder. Coach Hunter got a chip. I don't think Coach Hunter is recognized as he needs to get recognized. Coach Rob, he just came off one of the most successful high school careers, and the administration decides, yeah, we just want to go with good kids now. We ain't trying to win no more. Coach Rob is pissed off, and so we all carry this chip on our shoulder, but then we carry this chip and we try to share with these young men this love that we have to help them be successful. I won't be successful unless those young men have success. And so that's the driving force, man. And there's no other way. If you don't care about them and you're not vested in them, you're not going to have success. You may have a little bit. You can try to follow some coach who MFs the kids and cusses them out, and they may have a little success. But if you're talking about long-term success, my first goal was to have a relationship. And when I started my first head coaching job, it was here. When I started coaching, I invested in the kids. I said, man, I ain't finna win no games. I was like, man, we sorry in the mug. We ain't winning nothing. I said, I might as well just love on these kids. And to my surprise, by loving on the one or two great players and the other 13 that was average, we ended up winning crazy, went off the charts. And then we added a couple more players because of that, and we kept moving on. So, I mean, there's so much to share. that we have to share. But man, I grew up in the hood, and it's just this chip, it's this griminess that we got, and I'm glad I still got it. I'm still now. The pandemic got me pissed off, so I got a reason to win a championship. We gonna blame it on the pandemic. I mean, we gonna beat everybody by 50 because of the pandemic now. So that's just a little bit, man. We just grinding, but I appreciate being on. Any questions you got, go ahead, shoot away. I didn't want to spit out nothing. I've been talking on podcasts. They asked me the same question, so I try to, maybe shed something different. I did about 40 of these, 40 or 50, but this is good. I haven't had a group of coaches yet, man. We normally, it's just one person and I'm talking to one guy, but we got a group of coaches. So I'm excited to hear from you guys, to learn from you guys as well, on what, on different things. But hey, man, we got the platform, but we ain't no different. I'm looking at y'all. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what I can learn from y'all. We ain't no different, man. We all going through the same struggle, the same grind. I will tell you this, that it was not scripted. It was not, none of that, man. All of that, they actually missed 2/3 of the drama and 2/3 of the energy, because it's more turned up. It's more mentoring. It's more love. I mean, they miss Coach Rob, and they just only call Coach Rob in there with the jokes in the academic center. They didn't catch him when he was scratching his head and sweating and like, man, they're late. They didn't catch a lot of stuff. So that stuff was real. So we here, man, whatever you guys need. They didn't catch Coach Ken out he go after practice and he going to watch games. I'm like, I don't know how the hell he do it. I was a recruiting coordinator before I became a head coach, and I don't know how the hell he get out and do all that. I ain't ashamed to say the dude is in the wheelchair and he's grinding more than anybody I even know. He show up everywhere, man. He's straight rolling in all the high school games. Everybody know who he is. So, yeah.
I'm gonna start calling myself the Coach Ken of the East Coast, over here rolling around on the East. So, but no, I appreciate you guys sharing, and kind of how we do questions is we're real informal. You just want to unmute yourself, but please introduce yourself so we can kind of, these coaches can put a face with a name and everything, but just introduce yourself and then ask your questions. So we'll go ahead and open it up if anyone has questions.
I have a question for Coach Mosley. Coach, first of all, I was so impressed by you and your staff and your team. That was an amazing documentary. How did that whole thing go down? How did Last Chance to find you guys, or you found them? How did you guys get on the show? And my second question is, how did your guys initially handle the reaction? Oh, we're gonna have cameras following you guys everywhere. What was their initial reaction to that?
Well, I'm gonna answer the second question first. I ain't told nobody, because you mess around and tell them, man, you have 9,000 dudes show up at your door. Oh, we're gonna be on TV. So and to be honest, I only really shared it with, I told the coaches. I didn't even, Coach Rob came on a little bit later, and I didn't really share it with him until I was like, okay, he a real coach. So let me share. I shared it with Coach Rob, and he's like, oh, that's what's up. But I think I only shared it really with Deshaun and Joe, and Deshaun can handle it. And I said, Deshaun, should we do it? He said, oh, heck yeah, coach, that's what's up. We should do it. I said, all right, don't share it with anybody. But I didn't really share with too many guys. All of the guys, what's interesting, all of the guys that we recruited, none of them knew about it. And then the guys that we recruited that are here for 2021, they didn't know either. We were recruiting them, and they heard whispers that Last Chance U was filming, but the show hadn't come out. So Coach Ken and all of it, we had recruited a team. Even the team now is here not because of Last Chance U or because of that, but it's because we wanted, sincerely, we were doing intentional recruiting, sincere guys. We wanted those guys that wanted to be here because they were aligned with our vision. So we didn't want anybody here. Now we probably gonna get a bunch of Instagram dudes that's showing up with, we got Baller's Life probably gonna show up and all that crap. All that stuff is, now we got to deal with the prima donnas. I was used to dealing with the guys in the gutter, right? And they come walk through the door with tears, no cameras, no followers, no nothing, just grimy. And now we probably gonna have all these Instagram dudes show up at the door. So we got to deal with that. The first question, it was a cold call. So they hit me up, man. They just was like, hey, we want to do this. Have you heard of it? I was like, I don't know. I never watched the shows. And then when he hit me up, I went and watched him. I was like, oh no, I ain't doing that. I was like, man, that junk crazy. And it was football. And he was kind of like, yeah, let's, do a documentary. Now, mind you, like I said before, initially I'm done. I'm like, man, I'm done with trying to be the center of the stage. It's time to be a servant. And so my whole life has kind of changed and it's flipped to be a servant. And it's never about me. It's never about being on the stage, but it's about serving others and pouring into others. And I just feel like these cameras is going to change that. But initially they asked me. And so I was, a lot of people said, man, don't do that junk, man. You're going to get fired. You're going to say something, you'll do something to get fired. And to be honest, it's maybe some of the wrong people to listen to. But two people, he actually coaches. I coach against him every year. Quincy Brewer from San Bernardino Valley. He says, dude, you got to do it. He said, everybody's going to hate on you. You got to do it. You got to see how people are, you're speaking into these kids' life and you're really mentoring these kids from a positive light, from an African-American coach standpoint, how you ministering and all that. We were actually in Dallas at the Mullins event, JUCO event, and we were talking. I whispered to him. I was like, man, nobody know. Don't tell nobody, man. But I think this is going down. I thought he was going to be like, hell no, don't do that. You're going to get fired. But he tells me that. I walk out of the gym and I call my pastor and I asked him. And I'm thinking straight up, he going to say, nah, man, we don't, we need to keep it, stay humble. And, God will elevate us. We don't need to do all that. To my surprise, he says, you should do it. And I said, but I'm going to get fired if I say something wrong. He shares with me, you predestined and God called you. And if he closes the door there, he'll open the door somewhere else. If you're doing his work, if you ministering for him, if you out there, witnessing and ministering, and literally I'm shivering in my boots. I haven't even shared this with Coach Ken or Coach Rob before they started filming, man. I'm in the bed sweating. Like, what the hell? What am I doing? Like, I'm finally in a cool spot. I'm winning 25 games a year, coach of the year, 5 years in a row. All we got to do is win a state champ. Everything rocking and rolling, kids graduating. I finally got tenure. Like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? God, why did you have me do this? But ultimately, man, the commitment we made and the way Coach Rob, Coach Hunter, how we represented, man, God's hand, again, like I say, was on everything. It was a cold call, and ultimately God handed it. I'm going to say this, man. Dave, I talk too much, but I'm going to throw this in here. Here's the thing. After 2019 season, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you for all those who are believers, if you ask God for something, you better watch what you ask for. 2019, after the season, we didn't win the state championship, but we was still, it was like everything is still rocking and rolling. We successful. Like, guys are graduating. It's like getting, it's kind of got a momentum. It's never easy, but the momentum is there. Like, it's continuing to happen. And I messed up, man. I messed around and said, God, what's next? I said, God, what the hell you got for me now? Like, it seems like this is going to keep happening. I got Coach Hunter. I ain't got to worry about players coming in. Coach Hunter, keep them coming in. And that's the wrong thing to ask God. I said, man, God, what you got next? And he sure enough had something for me next. And I said, no, I don't want that. It was too late. It was too late.
The first question my man asked, he asked about what he asked about the cameras. Did it change something? Was that the question he had?
Yeah, that's what I had. Like, how did they initially react to having cameras surrounded them?
Talking about the student athletes?
Yeah.
Yeah, the student athletes. They for about a week or two, for a week or two, they didn't know how to react, but none of us did. Like, none of us. You don't know what to expect until a camera's on. And then when it's on, I remember even the first times they would leave out of the room and me and Mo would look at each other like, hey, this is crazy. Like, did we say the right things? Did we just do the right thing? Like, you're worried about every little thing in the first couple weeks because no one's ever filmed you like that before. But I think we got comfortable before they did, and the players were a little bit loud to start and a little uncomfortable, maybe overdoing it a little bit. But then I would say beginning of January, that first or second week, then you guys got to see it. That's exactly what those kids were. They were. I don't even think they saw the cameras anymore. And it's hard too to see the cameras when the grind is like that. You know, you can't play cute at an ELAC practice. There's no cute, and so you can't. It's just hard. And so what you see on their faces was real. And so afterwards, even or before, when they're going in there, they know what they're preparing for, and then after they're usually spent physically and mentally. So it's in the beginning, it was really uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable, just because you didn't want to say the wrong things. Like you didn't want to say the wrong things, and then you also have no idea what to expect, because you can ask any of us. None of us thought there was even a show the whole entire time we were doing it. None of us. We said, there's no show here. This is basketball practice, a study hall, and then we're coming back in the second half to win a game. Like that's every twice a week for the entire season. So we didn't think it was a show, and we didn't realize the stories or how impactful those stories are, or even how you even deal with kids. Because I mean, we've all been dealing with kids, all of us, for like 20 something years. So 2019, 2020 was no different than the year before. You're helping kids get through. So it was a shock to watch it all it was a shock to watch it unfold and how they put it together. And I tell anybody can listen, those people at Last Chance know what they're doing. That they know what they're doing from a storyboard, putting it together. Those people know what they're doing. The story was there and they pieced it together and they did it correctly. And they really brought it out. But where I was just fortunate to be at the beginning. Coach was joking and he was like, yeah, they just made us look good. And they did. They really did. Cause hey, y'all, we don't look that good. Like I don't look that good. There was no negatives, there was no mishaps. There's a lot of days where you do the wrong thing in practice or in a conversation, or there's just some wrong days. And they made us, they made me look like I knew what I was doing. And I'm grateful for it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Darrell Robinson, head boys basketball coach, Danville, Illinois. I got a two-part question. First question for Coach Rob. I'm known as Coach Rob too, so it's crazy. When I keep hearing this, I'm like, you've been in the game longer than me. I only been in for like 15. But first question is, with you having all the experience that you had and then the severe pay cut that you took, what made you end up there at ELAC? And how was it kind of brought to your wife, and how did you just end up there? And my second part to it is for all of you guys, is there going to be a Last Chance? Is it going to be like a season 2? Have they talked about that?
I'll let Mo do the second one. Obviously the first, it was perseverance and it was a war of attrition. When I lost my job, I've been a high school head coach for 20 years. And unexpectedly, I mean, I'd went in to sign my contract for the next year and they asked me for my keys. And it was unexpected. And I said, okay, I'm going to try and go to the next level. And over the course of about 3 months or so, I applied to over 150 colleges. I applied, I called, I emailed, I had people call for me, 150 schools. And out of that, only 2 actually called me back. A couple replied through email. But I called the head coach at Cal State LA, which is only about 3 or 4 miles from East LA. It's right over the mountain on the 710. And as I was talking to the head coach, his assistant coach is a guy named Darren French, and he used to work for Coach Mo. He was the assistant before I was there, but he got the assistant job at Cal State LA. He had overheard the conversation I had with the head coach, and he immediately called me back, and he was like, "You got to call Mosley at East LA." And I'd known about his program. It's funny because every week that me and Mosley spent together, like we figured out we knew each other even more somehow. It was like, oh, you played there? Oh, I played there. Oh, we was against each other there? Oh, we was in that gym at the same, like we'd always been around each other, even played against each other in college. And we didn't even know. But so I called him up, and he was looking for somebody. And so the first thing, and I was like, and I never really thought about junior college besides out here in IE. And I remember my wife's like, if somebody wants you, get in the car, you go figure it out. Like she said, she goes, somebody wants you. And she was so excited for this opportunity. And I was dreading getting in the car to go know I was going to work for free if I did it at junior college. Like I was dreading it. And my wife was really excited for the opportunity. But it worked out when me and Mo had our first interaction, and we talked for a while. And then when I got back, it was actually my wife, and she's the one who knew. And I mean, it was like we're talking about like $70,000, $80,000 pay cut. And so she was the one that said, all right, you're doing it. Because I could have just went and taught high school. I can teach. So I was just thinking about going to teach and just have a bridge year. And she's the one that pretty much made me do it. She said, nah, you're going to go coach and you're going to go do it. And that gave me the confidence to be like, okay, like, cause I wanted to do it. But you know, when you got responsibilities and everybody just, let's just pitch in, you know, Pop's been taking care of us for 20 years. Let's just have a 9-month stretch here where we take care of Pops and see if he can do something. So the family came together, rallied around, and yeah, it was the wife that that pushed me in that direction. So it was her, man. She's the one that did it. And it was hard though. Hey, if any of you ever had, it wasn't easy, you know, it wasn't easy, but you know, in the end, it worked out real well. And I saw you on the thing on the side, and I was about to text you during the thing. I'm like, yo, here's another Coach Rob. I was like, right. Yeah, I'm hitting up all Coach Robs across the country.
It's another Coach Rob too at Simeon High School in Chicago too. So
yeah. Hey, I'll hit him up too, man, because I might need a player. I'll hit y'all.
Appreciate it.
You asked about well, they've asked would we be interested, but it's never any guarantee. And I'm pretty sure they're on the low, they're out prospecting other places that they can film just because of how it's gone down here in California and Los Angeles. But they've asked, but really it's not even Last Chance U, it's Netflix. Netflix doesn't even give Last Chance U. They got to clear them with a budget, and it probably won't happen until midsummer. And then they'll pop up and say, okay, we're coming. That's how it was with, you know, this year. They said, okay, there's a possibility if we come, it's going to be around this time. I actually, when we were starting, I kept asking, I kept saying, man, I hope they said they were going to come. Are they going to come? Like all year? Because I was trying to psychologically get my mind and the team ready and kind of what phase were we in with our team to get them prepared. We're like on a 10-game streak, and then they're going to pop in with cameras, or we were like on a 6-game winning streak. I forgot. It was real young in the year. And they pop in with cameras. I'm like, man, by this time, I'm like, y'all can forget it now. Shoot, we on this game. We on this winning streak, man. We don't need the cameras now. So I kept calling and asking like, hey, and it's essentially Netflix, and Netflix is so secretive. They didn't tell me a trailer was coming out until like 2 days before. They said, hey, the trailer will be ready, and here's the link, but they didn't make the link live until it was ready. And I'm like, man, they didn't even give me a trailer. You know, they did let me see the show like a couple days before, but other than that, Netflix is really, they got a handle on that. And they haven't even told the Last Chance U production team yet. So,
gotcha. All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna jump in and ask one for Coach Ken and then one for everybody. Coach Ken, obviously, you know, you and I on a different level. How do you've been in a lot longer than me. How do you navigate a business that isn't used to look with guys that are on wheels and not feet? And then for everybody, was there a scene, was there a clip or anything that either got cut out or that maybe one that was special to you that you remember from the show?
To answer the first question, man, I I pride myself on not letting the disability become an issue. Of course, there are issues that come with having a disability. I travel with my wife, and when the team was traveling and stuff like that, I could travel with the team if I wanted to, but we at the JUCO level and we in vans and stuff like that, so it's just more comfortable for everybody where I can afford to travel with the wife and take it from that. But in this business, man, just like everything else in life, it's about outworking people. And it's different roles, it's different titles, there's different ways you can bring something productive, to establish value for yourself. I know my communication skills are great. I know my recruiting skills are great. I know my basketball mind and knowledge and IQ is great. So it's certain things that I've learned and learned from, I had great mentors, great coaches that taught me the right way to do things and how to treat people in this business. And then how to go about minding your own business and making, what you do be successful. I've never looked around and looked at everybody else. I'm always focusing on what I can improve on, or how I can handle this situation better, how I can do this better. And then I pride myself, like when I go recruit, man, I pride myself on trying to be the first person there and the last person to leave, regardless of who I'm watching and what I'm watching. And then, as I've done it over the years and been successful at doing it, you establish so many different relationships with people that see what you're doing and see what you bring to the table. And guys, if you can, you had that type of success with kids and players and coaches, and the coaching in itself, they're going to give you the type of attention you deserve at some point. They're going to give you the type of players you're looking for at some point, because they're going to start to trust you and they're going to open up more to you. So we've done a great job over the years of doing that. And then just being on a good staff in itself makes my job a lot easier, because Coach Mosley, he's a go-getter. Rob is a go-getter. They're not gonna wait on nobody to do something for them. They just gonna go attack it. And I think that's what makes our staff so great. Each one of us, like, we're not gonna sit back and wait on nothing. If something go wrong, okay, it went wrong. We gonna keep it moving. We gonna move on to the next situation. We address the issue, but we're not gonna spend too much time on the issue. We're not gonna wait for nobody to give us welfare. We're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna find a way to survive, and we're gonna still have success. And then we all work our butts off. We all are there early. We all leave super late. It's days where Mosley probably don't leave the school to 11 midnight. Rob, same thing. It's days where I'm there 9, 10 o'clock at night. And that's what we do. And we all love it. Like, we're not just doing it. We're not getting no extra bonuses for it or none of that. We love what we do. We love spending and investing in kids. Whether we were getting paid for it or not, it's something that always replaced my competitive side as a player. Getting into this coaching thing, and it's a street aspect to this too, man. Like, this business can be dirty and tough, and it's kind of like the streets, and you got to learn and navigate and handle yourself different ways. And I think that's part of the reason I've had success too, because of that element in it. I can align myself with any type of person. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to just have a preconception of who you are. A lot of people in this business are envious and jealous of each other, and they'll speak bad on each other. And I won't do that. I don't judge people until you show me who you are, and then I still don't judge you, and I don't take things personal, and a lot of people in this business take some things personal, and it hurts them in the long run, so you gotta be strong enough to be willing to do things and get things done on your own. And at the same time, you got to have some core values and beliefs. And, you got to, whoever you working up under, you got to make sure your values align with theirs, because at the end of the day, most of us got a boss and we got somebody, we got to check into. And, you got to make sure they're going to allow you to do it a certain way. And, Moses always allowed me to do things, kind of how I want to do them. And then, he showed me how some things he want done the way he want them done. And I'm able, me and Coach Rob able to follow that to a T. And, it's just, I just happen to be in a wheelchair, but, as you get around me, most people who get around me, they forget I'm in a wheelchair because I'm doing so much, and I try to make it that way too, man. I try to make it where you forget I'm in that chair by the way I communicate, by the way I work. And once when you leave from around me, I want your impression of me to be like, man, this dude busts his ass. Like he's getting after it. And it's always good for the kids to see that, man. Every time I do something, when it comes to this business, I got that in mind that, these kids are watching me, so I got to watch how I do this. I got to watch how I do that. I can't be late because then that'll give him an excuse to be late. I can't do this because that'll give him an excuse to do it. But if I'm on point, then I can, make sure they on point, and then they'll have that much more respect for you, man, and that much more respect for things. And also when they do make mistakes, especially if I've made that mistake in the past, man, you're able to open up and guide them through the mistakes and walk them through it a little bit easier because you lived it. And they respect that a lot. They respect that a lot, that you can open up, tell them about some of your past mistakes and experiences, and it helps them through even making that mistake first off if they haven't made it already. And it's just good for kids, man, and that's what we love. But I love it, man. A lot of days I forget the gym comforts me. It helps me forget that I'm even in the chair a lot of days, and so it's just like those kids that come in with the problem. We all coming in there, and it's a way to get past our problems and reality. It's a place of comfort for us all, and we enjoy it. As hard as it is, those 2 to 3 hours in that gym, I'm enjoying it, man. I missed the heck out of it. Like COVID really took a piece of me that I can't even describe, man. I've never been out the gym this long and been out the environment this long. And so, I even suffered a couple of health problems during COVID, nothing COVID related, but, I've struggled with a blood clot and all types of stuff because I hadn't been as active as I once was, and so that just tell you how important it is for me, being in this wheelchair, man, and being able to get around and have somebody to share that with, and just being around those guys, man, and being inspiration to each other. We not just inspiring them; they inspire us too. So I love that part.
Coach,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you guys, first of all, for, coming on this panel. David does a great job, Coach Bentley. I'm curious, how has the legislation as far as the transfer rules impacted how you guys are recruiting going forward? Not necessarily with COVID, but, everybody getting that extra year. So you have freshmen who are then, they got 4 years after their freshman year. You get guys who are transferring down. And talk about that.
You want me to get it, Coach, or you got it?
Well, yeah, go ahead. I wanted to add something to, but go ahead.
With the transfer rules, man, and who's going, who's staying, It's different. It's really, really different, man. Um, it's a plus in some ways where some guys who probably would have needed a little bit extra time to develop is going to be able to get that. And then it's a plus in ways where some guys who maybe not where they should be academically, but most of our guys actually do a good job. But I'm talking just generalizing it. Should be able to catch up some. We've always gotten between 2 and 4 transfers a year from the 4-year level. We try to bring in, two or three Division I transfers every year. This year, it was just so many on the board and so many calling and reaching out. And you got to make tough decisions. And part of it is the show stuff. So everybody see what we did on the show and how we handle people. And they, you got these middlemen and handlers and former coaches, and they're all calling and trying to get their kids in places where they have a staff like ours, where they can learn how to survive at the next level, because they see how well we're preparing these guys for that next level. So on that side of it, man, it's been more calls than normal. Part of it is the show, part of it is the pandemic. Then on the other side of the transfer side is, you got a lot of kids that missed opportunities because we didn't play. We actually set out. Normally some guys that we probably would have got done and moved on, they're still sitting around, and it hurt them. The pandemic really killed recruitment for a lot of kids that wasn't the biggest name, and so what you're seeing now is it's a ton of high school kids left on the board. It's a ton of junior college kids left on the board. 4 years are looking for experience, so they going after the Division I guys who played and had numbers first, then the Division guys who had okay numbers, and then the Division II guys that had numbers are even finding good looks. But a lot of Division IIs are locked up with their scholarship situation because everybody able to return. So at some point, man, I don't know what the NCAA is going to do, because it's going to be impacted for the next 2 years minimum, probably 3 years. And so at some point, they're probably going to have to up the limit for a little bit and figure out what they're going to do with these big, huge gaps of kids who won't have nowhere to go. And it's sad, unfortunately. And we, at this junior college level, we hurting because a lot of these kids we trying to save from the streets sometimes that has talent, got 1 foot in the street, 1 foot in the gym. We wasn't able to help them to the full capacity like we normally can. So you have kids having kids, you have kids, could be in the wrong neighborhood, can get caught at the wrong place at any time. And we still haven't got back in the gym. We fighting to get back in the gym now. It's a daily fight here in LA County, and it's kind of the sad part of it. The things that y'all don't see and hadn't seen from the show. But man, we hoping that administrators across America are seeing how important just the little bit of time that we have with these kids, how special that means to them, how much help they really need, how many different resources that they lack in, that if we just spent a little bit of the money that we spend in some of the other areas, just give us a little bit more, because we've proven we got a successful blueprint that works, that we can be moving kids on at a greater level. Some of these kids that's not from the best areas, and that's what we was kind of hoping some of that got across to people. And we'll see, man. You just don't know, we'll see. You can go ahead, Coach Mosley.
Yeah, as Coach Ken said, I think the biggest thing is not having access to the kids. Myself, Coach Ken, Coach Rob is just jumping in, but we've had the ability to we'll make calls. We've had the ability to get every one of our guys out in the sense that we'll do whatever it takes. We'll find him whatever level. If a kid thinks he's D1 and he can't go, he'll be at a D. I don't care. We selling them on, hey, let's move on and get to the next level. Let's just get to the 4-year experience. And eventually, guys, just like all of you guys, once the kid gets there, it's about the experience. It's not about the level. But we can't even properly, the toughest part is if we can get in our place where we can properly assess and we can properly see where the kid is psychologically, where he's at physically, academically, and we can assess what type of student he is and how well of a student. Then we can assess, hey, do we need to sell him to move on and push him out through the door? So that's a log jam in itself that we haven't been able to properly assess because we've still gotten calls. I still get calls right now. I think there's a trust with us now. There's a trust for the last couple of years that coaches are still calling and say, hey, what you got? And for me, even right now, it's hard for me to sell a kid who was a freshman all year and didn't play. And I'm like, he's talented, he's got this, and this, but I have no idea in regards to his work ethic and all that to sell. But as Coach Ken said, I'll tell you straight up, man, I could try to ramble on and sound intelligent, but I don't know what the heck is going to happen. I don't know what because there's the NCAA is unclear. When you talk to 4-year coaches and university coaches, when you talk to high school coaches, everybody, you guys, we're all unclear. So you ask us the question, I'm unclear. We talk to Division I coaches, Division II coaches, and we're all unclear as to how we're going to move these kids through. Once we know that, then we'll have a better feel. I think we'll have a better feel for how we can even navigate these students. Like if he's a Division I player and no scholarships are going to be available, and man, go ahead and go. We just had a player who came to us. He was here for a year. I mean, I spent hours and hours on getting all of his stuff together academically. And I just felt like, you know what? He got an offer and he didn't play a lick of ball for me. And he signed. He ended up signing a scholarship. And I was just like, go ahead and go, because the kid was sitting in South Central in the hood doing who knows what. Well, we know what he was doing. And I was like, man, this kid got to get out of here so he can leave in June. And so we were able to kind of push that and navigate that. But the answer to your question, man, it's just absolutely no clue. The only thing that can solve a little bit of the problem is if they allow us to have we can go full throttle where we can assess the student holistically. We can find out if, like, hey, bro, you need to stick at junior college. You need to red shirt and go 2 years. Or, hey, bro, if that D3 wants you, you need to go to that Division III, because I don't see any movement in terms of, I think you capped off at where you're going to be, and you might as well just go to the Division III and get 4 years there. So, I have no clue. I'm just as clueless as you guys. There's no rule that we know any different than what you know. It's sad, and I'm nervous. Hell, I'm nervous. My son is a 10th grader, and I'm just hoping things go along, to when he's got time, when his time to come to play. I'm hoping that things will loosen up. So I have no clue. All I know is we got about 25 kids that think they starting for ELAC next year. So that's all I know. It's about 25 kids, man. And about 20 of them, if they look, 20 of them look like scholarship players.
Appreciate you guys. You guys are truly heroes for the basketball community.
Good evening, gentlemen. I just wanted to jump in with a quick question. Torrance Oxenine out of the DC area, scout as well as a high school coach in the area. Excuse me. So my question is for anybody on the staff. And first of all, thank you. It was been an honor, privilege, and a blessing to hear the journey that you all have shared, as well as the wisdom and insight. So my question is in regards to kids from different coasts, different areas. As we all know, a lot of times kids are reluctant to go across coast or different areas that they aren't familiar with. And I try to share my experiences as a JUCO product myself. And I went out to Colorado for Trinidad State. And I try to share that. But a lot of times our kids are kind of reluctant And I hate to talk about it, but I think it's a nationwide epidemic with the D1 or bust right out of high school. And so a lot of guys don't take advantage of the opportunities that are presented all over the country. So can you share, and this is, again, it's for any one of you, share like what's your thought process when you're talking to the kids from the opposite coast, and how do you think that they can best be served by us on the same platform over here, trying to get them to just broaden their horizons and see all that is available to them, especially at the junior college level?
Well, I'll just tell you in terms of when I share with young men outside of California, first off, our dynamics are totally different because we don't have scholarships or different things like that. So it's not suited for everybody. But then there is someone who I think it might be suited for. And I think the best is to really know what's really going on in the young man's life. There's young men that need to get away and come to California. I think personally, California is not as strong as some of the national jukes. Now there are a handful of us that can compete, and I felt like we could have been a top 15 team this past year. That's just my opinion. I've been to Hutch. I've seen it before as a recruiting coordinator in the past, but I felt like we were good enough. But there are some that could take the opportunity where if they make the sacrifice and understand the dynamics, they come out here and their game will be better suited to shine in California. Their game would be better suited to shine. There's some kids, and to be honest, a kid like for us, KJ Allen, I'm glad we got him, but KJ reminds me of a Texas, Kansas JUCO kid that's just dunking on everybody, right? But we got him, and I think he wanted to stay close to home from family and all that. And Coach Ken did a good job of recruiting him. But he had academic issues, and it was important that he was under a good, a situation where I knew exactly what was going on academically in a special ed situation. So, but as a player, he may have been better suited to go away or not. But I think it's really understanding the background of the family and the kid, and then you can kind of navigate and help share with him. There's some kids I'm like, nah, it probably won't be a good look in my opinion. But then there's some kids where you can come here on the West Coast and get some shine because the teams aren't as strong. We got some strong teams, but out of 111 teams in California, you got maybe 25 of them that can compete with national jukes. The other ones are kind of watered down. And so maybe he can kind of spread his wings out a little bit better. But I think another thing is as we have these young men, young lady, we online, we sharing with them our experiences as well about as student athletes. I mean, heck, you may go in Texas. I may leave, send a kid to Texas. Heck, you might find your wife and kids and your career may be out there. And kind of, I mean, to me, that's what I think about. Had I not gone and traveled, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I think just being able to tell those stories and be able to hone in and share your experiences and those good stories. I mean, I laugh at Coach Rob because Coach Rob's personality is exactly Kansas, bro. Everybody I met from Kansas is exactly like Rob. But how long you been out here, Coach? What, like 20, 30 years or something?
Man, I've been out here since 89.
Since 89. And so, just amazing life that you can have. And you never know if you could just step outside of your box. And the toughest guys to remove out of their box, to be honest, are the guys you think are the toughest. The ones from the city, the ones from the hood, they do not want to leave the hood. And when I push those guys out the door and get them out the door, and those guys get enlightened, and I would think I was sharing that, pulling them through that window. I was trying so hard to pull them through the window, and we tried so hard. They don't want to look out the window. They want to just try to survive in that little world. But if we could just push them out the window and send them to another state or send them somewhere and they get enlightened and now their world has changed. Even if they don't change with me, guaranteed if we can just get them out, it changes. And I think they have to trust us enough to know, that our stories are real. And I know all of us have these real stories about how college was and about everybody here, we went to college and about how real it was. and every one of us have been in different spaces and we've traveled. And I just like, I'm a dreamer. And I share with these guys like, man, when you go to college, man, it's going to be this, and this. If you go here, bro, you never know. You know, we've had kids from the East Coast to come in and they still out here. You know what I'm saying? And I got guys, guys that went on the East Coast and and they still out there. But it's just sharing those stories and being able to tell them to know that they can develop a family and a culture and a career in other spaces and they can leave the nest. But that takes some selling on your part too. You got to sell that thing, man. And I think that's a part of our job is to be fully invested in these kids' life to know what's going to sell them to, hey, take a chance, take a risk, move on, or sell them to do, to do whatever their dream is, to sell them on that dream. And I think that's who we are, man. We just kind of push those dreams. We help those kids with their dreams, man. And we got to make them, you just got to make them believe the dream. We got to invest in it. And I know these kids suck. They 18-year-old when they walk through the door. I'm 47. And it's the same 18-year-old kid walking through the door 20 years ago. So I done got mature. I tell everybody I'm so mature now. I still have to tolerate and be and tolerate that 18, 17, whatever he is through the door. And every year I get more intolerable. I got to remember I got to go back and meet him and make a dreamer out of him. Make a dreamer out of him. Just like I did when I was in my 20s coaching. I was all turned up and hyped. And now I'm 47, I got to still act like that, I guess. You
know? Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. I hope to see a lot more guys from the East Coast out there because I love it myself.
Coach Mosley, Coach Rob, Coach Ken, Jordan Reams, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My question, I noticed during the show that you made a point about the goal of getting JUCO guys is to eventually get them to the next level, to that 4-year school. Now, what's the conversation like when that doesn't happen and you have to, in a way, get them ready for life after basketball?
Well, part of our thing is, man, if you with us 2 years, and you go through the grind 2 years, so far we've been lucky enough not to have that conversation. All of our guys have moved on and been able to play at some next level. We kind of pride ourselves on getting those guys to that next level. We pride ourselves on knowing that them parents, that kid, that inner circle can send a kid to us. And as long as he does his 2 years and follow the blueprint that we have for him, that we're going to find him an opportunity somewhere. So unfortunately, man, we haven't suffered that conversation yet. I've had it in the past before when I was at LA Trade Tech and had to have that conversation with parents. But it was always, I could sit them down, be honest with them, and look, hey, your son didn't do this, this, or this, and that's why I can't find anybody that would take them, But I had a real high success rate there also, that conversation seldomly came. Now we more deal with, I think this was the first year we had one kid that had opportunities and actually just started going into rap. We were just laughing about this as a staff a couple of days ago. We were, kid, got some opportunities. And I guess Coach Rob texted him like, hey, man, what you gonna do? And he said, Rob is single, So, and his pops, man, was a, basketball coach and big on basketball. And he was grinding me the whole season on getting his son a scholarship. And I'm like, bro, I got it. We got this. We're going to get him somewhere. I can't promise you where because he only 5'5" standing on a box of Wheaties, but, I'm going to get him somewhere, and we did, man. We got him a couple of opportunities. And, sometimes, man, as you know, you be in this game long enough, it's either for you or it's not for you. Some kids say, man, you know what, coach, this was a great experience, but I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna just go be an adult now. You taught me how to be a man, and that's what we want. Even though basketball is going to end at some point for everybody. And so once it ends, we also want to provide you with the tools to be productive in whatever you want to be. And the one great thing about Coach Mosley and even Coach Rob, they do a great job of following up, doing all the academic things, seeing what that other special interest these kids have, and trying to prepare them for that life too. Because, like you said, basketball is not going to work for everybody. At some point it becomes a numbers game, and you can be left out. So we do our best on, finding career paths too, for these kids, showing the parents that blueprint also. Our school in itself does a pretty good job of, having enough majors and enough things that at some point a kid going to take some interest in it. And then once he figure out what he want to do, they do a good job of pushing them that way and getting them resources to that area. So, we hadn't had that conversation much or at all really, since I've been at East LA, man. And it's more of the conversations we have is like, hey man, you do this, and this. We're gonna make sure coaches here to see you. We're gonna make sure opportunities are here for you. Our job is to bring opportunities to you. Your job is to land them. And this is what the coaches at this level are looking for. This is what coaches at this level are looking for. This is coaches at this level. And we just be honest, man. Like, we an honest staff, bro. Like, coach gonna be direct. I'm gonna be direct. I'm gonna be honest to you, and I'm, a lot of times some of these kids live in alternate realities, and you kind of got to check that immediately, because if you keep allowing a kid to live, and you don't want to knock his dream, but you want him to be realistic about who he see himself as, and what he see himself as. And then once you find that out, then you can start talking realistic to him and reeling him back in about where he really is and where he needs to go to be that. And so we had those conversations daily with kids, and we entertain you to a point. And if we feel like, you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel and you live outside of alternate reality, we man enough to tell you, hey, this might not be for you. This place, East LA, might not be for you. If you see yourself doing this, and that, and you haven't proven yourself capable of being that, then we gonna let you know, man. And I admire Coach Mosley a lot because he's great at that. He's great at really coming at the kids, really letting them know what it is. And we feel like honesty is the best policy. And that's what's worked for us, but at the end of the day, you have to have that type of relationship with those kids. You have to build that up so they can trust you that you're telling them the truth, because like I said, a lot of times these guys come from, they hurt, and they don't believe nothing in nobody. So, you got to establish that type of relationship and build. But, that's how I've seen it since I've been at East LA. And even before I came to East LA, when I was at Trade Tech and had to have those conversations, I would bring parents to the office, bring a kid in with the parents and sit them down and tell them exactly where they were, what they were looking at to try to get something if they didn't have anything, and would just be direct and honest with them, man. And it always that policy always worked for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to add, just real quick, you I think that's the biggest thing, because once the sooner we can get them to the reality of what their level is, then it's easier for us to, when the D3 or the NAIA2 college calls with some scholarship money, he's averaging 25 points a game, and it would be great to get him to a Division I, and now I can say, hey, I got this kid to a Division I. But it's better just to be honest, and that young man can have success, or young lady can have success at the next level, even if it's you got NAI Division II or Division III, where they getting a little bit of money and they got to pay something. It's about having the right experience. So as he said, I think that's the biggest thing is having them get to the level, having them see themselves the level that they are, and then it's easier for us to sell. You guys know several college coaches if you're high school coaches, and if you're junior college coaches, you know tons of coaches. You guys probably got 30 coaches in your phone that there's a kid that can go, but the problem is when the kid steps out of reality and it's like he's not listening to you when I'm saying, hey, this might be the place for you. So I think reeling them in early, I think that helps. That helps us be able to sell the college on the kid right away. A coach will call and say, hey, coach, what you got? And then I got a kid that's averaging 15. Most kids will be like, nah, coach, I'm going D1. But in December, he's averaging 15. But you got to be honest and say, you know what? He's not that level. So I'll tell a top NAI program or a top Division II program, hey, call him and recruit him. And I tell that young man, I say, look, we tell him, I don't care if a division, this is our first conversation when we walk on campus, like our first meeting. I don't care if a Division 30 school calls you. You entertain every single phone call. You know, that there's some guys like KJ, he was a high major. So we limited, we backed everybody off. We said, coach, you know, KJ's gonna go to this level. You know, Joe Hampton's gonna go to this level. But if I have a coach call you, I don't care what level he is. If you think you supposed to go to Duke, you still entertain that coach. If he's a Division 30 coach and they ain't got no scholarships, you make every coach want you. And so that allows us to build some leverage. And then you talked about preparation. Of course, we talk about changing those responses so that you can handle anything that you do, even if you go in business or whatever, just the overall academic business structure that you have to be successful. You know, we try to make sure we continue to instill that. But like you said, man, there's an honesty that we come with first and let them know, like, look, no, I'll tell a guy when he walks through the door after we assess him, like, look, you're good enough to be here, but I'm already comfortable. I'll never disappoint him. You're good enough to be here, but I'm already comfortable with the group that we have. So it's up to you if you want to be here, or you're good enough to start, but right now somebody's better than you and you got to beat them out. And so indirect saying they're either not good enough or this is their level is kind of like Coach Ken said, is kind of the direction to go. And I'll just share another quick story. We had a guy, this is the worst thing that can happen. So Ken, you said since you've been, but we had one and he's out of school now, but it took him 2 years to get into a school. So we had a young man who I always thought was maybe a Division II, a high Division II player, maybe low Division I. A bunch of Division IIs are recruiting him and calling him. He's fine with those conversations. He goes to a summer and he plays in the summer circuits, right? All the summer JUCO events. Nebraska calls him. That is the absolute worst thing that can happen. From that point on, he's looking at me like, I don't know what coach talking about. I'm Big 12. I'm Big 10. I'm Big 12. Whatever. I'm whatever. And then from that point on, I said, here are the schools that call it. He blew off all the schools. So he should have easily been at a Division II starting, but he was out of touch with reality, like Coach Ken said. And then you couldn't tell him nothing. And of course, his mama said, no, my baby is this good. We'll just hold out. And there you go. And then after he held out, guess what? He ended up at the same level that he was supposed to go to from the beginning. So.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, coaches.
Coach,
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's cool. Okay. I'll go next.
Sorry, man. Okay. Hey, this question for Coach Mosley. How you doing? My name is Antoine Stroud from Druid Hills High School in Atlanta. When you took the cabin trip on one of the episodes, how much did that help your team, and what ways did it help?
It was going to either help us or hurt us. I think I mentioned that to Rob. So either they were going to go up there. So it was a time where, and some of you coaches, if you've been on this win streak, we're doing well, everything's rocking and rolling. But it was like we were kind of like at a standstill because it's like, can we get better? Can we, everybody's tired of each other. So either we were going to go up on the camp trip and they were really going to start to not like each other, or they were going to grow to love each other. And what happened was they grew to love each other. And they started to see things that they didn't know about each other, and it was time away. And guys like Deshaun, his mom enlightened him on a lot of stuff. And Deshaun wanted to do stuff like that. He wanted to do more of that. And at the JUCO, we don't have many resources to do it, but we found a way to do it, and it helped big time. And I think it's important. It's important you don't do them corny either. Make sure, man, make sure that it's not corny stuff. Like Coach Rob came up, I think I may have had maybe one. I think I did one of the activities. I said, let's set up the out of bounds plays. But Coach Rob set up all the other stuff and all the activities. He's like, nah, I got this, coach. And it was great, man. And it was awesome. So we grew together, but it could backfire. You could go up there and say, you know what? I didn't like this dude. And now I'm sitting next to him and he really stink. I really don't like him. I can't stand him. Now I don't like him and he's snoring. So it really worked out, man. And I'll tell you what, man, the year was a perfect storm. And the way the show, it may not have turned out to be a better show if we went on and won the state championship, but that brought team chemistry. And I recommend that for anybody to do some level of bonding.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, coaches. James Covell from Caltech. Actually, Coach Mosley, the gym that your son played in looked really familiar. I'm walking out of high school grad, so.
Right.
But what are some things that you guys do during the season that kind of de-stressors, right? Because the season can get mentally exhausting at times. So what are some things that you guys do?
Not much. Because California Junior College, as Coach Rob mentioned in the show, what happens is we have practice and they go home. So if we try to do something, it has to be a collective group and the guys have to want to stay and all that. So that was kind of a forced trip that we did when we went out there. There's not many stressors. So it's left up to me, Rob, and Coach Ken to we got to see the dynamic every day. Maybe one day we go lighter, maybe one day we go harder. You got to really, it is a crazy level of, your level is different. You got different kids there. Division II is different. Like our kids are going home, they hungry, they starving, they got to figure it out. And it's not many opportunities to distress. That's why you see them blow up a lot. So that's the distressor right there. Coach Mosley let them yell and scream, right? A lot of people ask, why the hell you let Joe go off like that? Well, shoot, what else I'm going to do, man? Let him go outside and smoke a blunt, Yeah. That's all he could do is just scream and break our chairs that cost me $40, Yeah. So there's not much. But I mean, go ahead, Rob.
From the stress standpoint, Coach just made a really good point there that sometimes like being with us was as stressful as it was the stress relief, because what the show didn't show as well as it could have. And that's one of the things that I think it really missed was just how difficult every day it was for our kids to get there at 3:00 just to play, because they're coming from all over Southern California, and all of them got a different story. Very few of them got cars. Very few of them have resources, etc. So we had that. We were kind of the distressor.
Appreciate it. And maybe like, what are some things that you guys do as coaches? Just, maybe when you go home or something outside of obviously the basketball realm.
Well, I'll just tell you real quick. A lot of people ask me, how do I manage all of it? And I'll tell this for all the coaches, and this is my opinion. You can handle it how you want. And I know some of us may aspire to be high major coaches, Division I. I was at the Division I level, and I think what keeps me sane and what keeps me at peace, I don't have to deal with the stress of the family. The reason why is because I go home. Okay. So when I was the Division I coach, go out and recruit, right? And you guys, some of you guys are going to have that experience, or maybe you had. You go out, you recruit, you in Vegas at the time when everything was out in Vegas, right? And then afterwards, what do? All of the guys used to go out and drink and whatever and do some other stuff that wasn't right for the family. So something that I thought was important that helped keep me sane and is I would go home, I would go to the hotel room, and now there's no stress on the family because my wife, as soon as she knows I'm out of that last 10:00 game, she can call me on my phone, and my phone is not on cut off for 2 days while I'm in Vegas. I mean, who the hell can go out to Vegas for 2 days with your phone cut off? You know what I'm saying? and your wife is not calling you. And so I can pick up my phone, I'm calling my wife. So I think that's something that I love to do for me. I just like to go be, you just don't have a social life, and you can try to have a social life for as much time as you spend with basketball. You could go ahead and try to have a social life, but something's going to hurt. It's either going to be basketball or it's either going to be your family. One of them, the social life is over. It's just like anything else you make a commitment to. And so I think spending time with family is what I do. It's my stress relief. And of course, when the season is over, you find vacations and stuff. But I think that's important for all you guys who haven't had the chance to jump into that world. And part of the reason why I'm still here is because I don't live that way. And I think a lot of people turn me down for jobs because they want somebody they can party with, and they want somebody who can, go out and turn up with them and do all that. And guys have invited me to do it, and I didn't do it. And I went to the Final Four twice, and I was like, this is what you do at the Final Four? Run around college coaches and try to get a job and then go screw women, and your wife is at home, and go out and drink and get drunk? Is that what a college coach does? And I know, that may be offensive to some of you guys, but for me, I relieve stress by doing the right thing and going home and calling. My wife called me on the phone instead of me, when I'm in Vegas recruiting. I'm out with the guys. After I just spent 15 hours recruiting, I'm gonna go out and drink and party and screw other women when my wife is trying to call me and I'm in Vegas for a whole week so for me, that's kind of what I do, and spend time and be intentional about coming home. And I never used to, well, now the pandemic, I watched a lot of TV. It's just crazy, but I never used to watch TV when I came home. If I watched it, it was a sports game. But other than that, I wasn't a couch potato. It was family, man. That's just me. I'm coming home and I'm spending time with family. I'm not sitting there. I don't have a right to sit on the couch after I've been gone all day and say, somebody bring me a beer and I'm gonna sit here with my legs up. I don't have a right. I got to give that to family, and I think that's what helps me.
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to it a little bit. Because I know you kind of asking us, how do we keep the players a little less stressful too? And the one thing that the show wasn't able to show was the amount of time and how we integrate the kids with our families. Coach Mosley, myself, Rob, we all take players and we treat them like they part of us, man, like they really part of our family. We'll take 2 or 3 at a time. We'll take them to a ball game. We'll go sit and have dinner with them or invite them into our households. We'll spend an extra 2 hours at the school giving some individual attention. And I think that's important and key because if you don't open up like that, then you'll never get those guys to really open up. The minute I recruit a kid, and I want to, I recognize this can be an East LA guy. I tell them from the jump, man, don't look at me as your coach. Look at me as your big brother. And, all of us had that type of relationship with these guys, man. And we want to make them feel as comfortable as possible to open up with any and everything, even when they mess up. And, we all also do a great job of bringing our families into the settings so those guys get to know us as men, as person, showing them some of the proper things that we as men should be doing for our families, for our kids. Coach Mosley going to ball games, inviting players to go with him to go watch Jackson play. I do the same thing. I invite players to, if I know I'm going to my son's game, can you want anybody want to roll? Anybody want to ride? I get you dinner afterward. We can go chill and that. And I think having those type of relationships with the fellas, man, I think it relieves stress along the way to the point where they open up about other things. And then you're just able to have just normal dialect with them every day. And then I think the other great thing we do as a staff, we're there so early that we're communicating and talking with these guys before they step into the double doors. And so we're able to get a vibe of what's going on that particular day almost every day, just vibing and communicating with those guys before they even step into the double doors. That way, you know, if one of those guys got a particular problem that day, you have an understanding of what he's going through, you know, and so you know how not to attack him or how you got to attack him and move with him. And, you know, you understand whatever levels of frustration he's going through that particular day. On the show, Joe was going through a lot of days like that. And what they didn't show exactly, because they wanted to protect his privacy of what he was going through. But we did a good job as a staff of really addressing those things and understanding what he was going through, and still being able to work successfully through that, you know. And so a lot of times, man, y'all didn't see the number of hours that we spent just communicating, talking, just being there for them, and then just spending the extra time with them afterwards. So I think that's important, man, at any level. You know, some of the most successful teams I've seen, the coaches had them type of relationships with the kids. And I go watch all levels. I mean, from NBA to college to top high major to low major to Division III. I even go watch other JUCOs all year. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why I'm so respected throughout the country as far as people who let me into their lives. I know every damn near top JUCO player in the country, but I go to those top camps. I coach at those top camps. I open myself up to have time available for kids, and none of these kids even play for me, you know. But then when it's time to make some decisions sometimes, those kids call me and reach out, you know, like, Coach Ken, man, I got my top 5 and I want to know what you think, or, man, what do you think about this school, Coach Ken? Or, you know, so it's the respect that you give those guys and that you show them that you care. And it has a way of working its way back, man. You give out that type of respect and energy, you get that respect and energy back. And then once other kids see that, they're like, okay, you know, the number 1 player in the country is talking to him and opening up to him. You know, they feel comfortable talking to you and open up to you. And it's like that in a team setting. You know, you have your best players and they comfortable talking to you and opening up, you know, then everybody else is just going to fall in line. You know, they're going to open up, they're going to talk, you're going to know what's what, and you're going to understand how to address it. And, you know, and you also got to understand each person has had, you know, an individual way of how they want to be dealt with. And you can only find that out by spending that quality time with them.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just to be respectful of time, if we have one more question, you know, I'll let someone jump in real quick. Does anyone have a last question they want to ask? I told them in the email 90 minutes. I know we went a little bit over, but I wanted to be respectful of their time. You know, I know they're getting their family time on the West Coast, so us East Coasters are getting ready for, you know, their early bedtime. But no, if no one else has a question, what we can do is we can go to each coach, and if you just want to give a closing remark for joining us tonight, and then I'll wrap us up afterwards.
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing, you know, is just the authenticity, just trying to be authentic, and whatever you are, whoever you are, just being authentic. As I started as a head coach, I think it was 9 years ago. Initially, all I knew was how to be myself, and so that's what I was, and it worked. And that's the character. That's kind of how my teams have been molded as kind of I am. So I think whatever your philosophy, if you're a head coach, if you're assistant coach, whatever it is, I think just lock in and be authentic. Hopefully I don't offend anybody, but I like to say I don't want to be coachy coach. You know what I'm saying? You got all these little cute coachy quotes and these little cute drills and all these little coach. I call it coachy coach. You know, sometimes we'll play against a team and it's coachy coach. They're like running plays and they don't even do nothing, or they're like doing a drill that doesn't do, you know, don't be coachy coach. Do what you know what works, not because you've seen somebody else do it. Do what's in your gut. Go, you know, what's in your heart. what you feeling in your soul, man. Whatever is in your soul, that's what you should do. However it is, you don't. If there's a way to you you feel like you should recruit a kid, well, just because you read a book on a template on how to recruit a kid, it doesn't mean that that's the right way. It's just you got to go with your gut and how you feel. And you don't have to always show up with a template. You don't all have to show. You can sometimes go with your gut. And a lot of people would ask me questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? A lot of times I say, man, I don't know, man. They ask me, why did you stop for 8 minutes? I'm like, hell, I don't know. I just was stopping. I don't know. But you got to go with your gut. And I know a lot of you guys had that moment. And that's what I would say more than anything else. And I think now more than ever, because guys like you guys are sitting here listening to us. I'm like, why are these guys listening to me? It's just more confirmation that if we could just go with our gut and running our programs, and there are always things that we can learn. But man, go with your gut. Please don't be coachy coach. I can't stand coachy coach. Kind of do what's in the heart, and I think you'll be all right. But y'all, thanks for having me though.
Yeah, he ain't joking either. He don't like that coachy coach stuff. Even when the players say something that a coachy coach would like, he'll shut it down in practice. Immediately.
Yeah.
It's going to be grimy in Mo's gym at all times. Like at all times. And
the clipboard might offend him.
Yeah.
That might offend him. I'm sorry. I can't stand clipboards because I should have already had it done. Don't come handing me a clipboard at timeouts. That irritates me. So I might use it if we need to draw up the last play of the game. But I'm like, what the hell am I drawing up 5 minutes into the freaking game? That we shouldn't know already. So forgive me for that one. I know that anyway.
Yeah, it's that gets real. I'm grateful for the time to hang out with coaches. I'm gonna try and get everybody's here number, try and reach out. Because we're all just trying to learn as well. I got a notebook over here where I've been listening to people and writing stuff down. I think the most important thing I've learned that's been magnified in the last 2 or 3 years, getting over to ELAC and towards the end of my career over in high school, is that what I figured out. I mean, you know how when you're older, you're like, I wish I would have known this earlier. You have that. And what I figured out is that somebody's okay. What I got out of it is if I want to win, everybody else around me has to be winning. And if I just focus on everyone else and their success, then I'm going to be successful. And that's kind of what I took to ELAC, but it's been magnified by John and Ken because that's what they do. They're constantly just trying to make everybody better around them or the situation better. And when you get a group of people who just want to make everyone around them better, then you don't even have to concentrate on yourself. And then winning's just the product of that. And we don't even talk about winning at ELAC. I never talked about winning. And when I was a high school coach, I just said, these are the things you have to do to win. And that's one thing that's been magnified over there. It's just, if everybody around you is winning, then you're going to win. And Coach texts us every day he talks about how winning is just essential. And he says that to his players because, I mean, he's got 15 guys on the team. And if his 15 players are successful and his 2 assistant coaches are successful and the student managers are successful, then he knows he's winning. And that's one of the things I've learned over the last 2 or 3 years, and it can be beneficial to all y'all. Just make sure everybody around you is right. And if they're good and they're rolling in the right direction, then you're going to be successful.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to just thank everybody who tuned in, man. I see a lot of big names, man, and guys that, I talk to and guys that I enjoy and guys I haven't talked to yet, but hopefully at some point we reach out and talk with each other. Yeah, this coaching thing, man, it's a different beast, man. Just like you asking players to sacrifice and buy in, man. We as coaches have to sacrifice things and buy in. And it's time consuming, man. Like Coach said earlier, you know, a lot of times when you're great at something, you're lacking in something else. So, you know, I would tell you, man, find a way to combine it all where it's taking stress off your wife, it's taking stress off your kids. You know, bring your families around sometimes. Open up that side of it to your players, man, and make them feel welcome. And you know, vice versa. You know, invite them in your home sometime, man, and really see who they are as people, man. I think the biggest part of this transfer thing, it has nothing to do with the pandemic, man. It's a lot of times, man, guys aren't really establishing these relationships early, and you know they're not really seeing who the kid is, and unfortunately, it's not like the old days where guys used to come in the gym and evaluate. They can spend a week with you, 2 weeks with you, and really get a good idea of who you were as a person and player, and really could break some things down. So now we live in times where we depend on relationships, and you know, guys won't even fly in to see a kid. They'll take the word of, you know, whoever they got the relationship with and run with it, you know. And so, you know, that's the part of coaching that I hope get cleaned up a little bit better. And part of it's not the staff fault. Part of it is the NCAA's fault for taking away all these weekends and taking away your ability to have SS on campus like you used to. We need to bring some of that back, man. And, you know, I think our brand, the brand of basketball, can get better if we did that, because then coaches could have, you know, a clue. Everybody has an identity on who they wants to be, man. And, you know, you can get those kids that fit your identity. When I recruit, I just don't recruit anybody, man. I know Mosley's character. I know the type of identity and kids he wants. Yeah, you can be a heck of a basketball player, but at the end of the day, if you're not willing to commit and make some sacrifices, and you're not able to take some of the things that we gonna put you through, then why waste my time and recruit you? You know, and it should be like that at the next level. You know, you shouldn't recruit a kid just because he got 5 stars. You know, you should recruit a kid because he fit what you're trying to do. And if he doesn't fit what you're trying to do, then why waste your time recruiting? Because he's gonna be up out of there. It's not gonna be nothing, you know, good, you know. And so you know, we're hoping, you know, you if you ain't learned anything else from me, man, you know, learn how to develop relationships, know what your boss want, man, know what y'all do as a program and what y'all want y'all program to stand for and represent, and bring those type of people into it. You know, Coach Mosley has been such a great dude, and he's easy to work for to me, you know, because he's going to always lead by example. And, you know, I've been nothing but blessed since I've been over here, man. And, you know, like I said, we enjoy coming to work. I enjoy coming to work and spending those couple hours with him and, you know, Coach Rob. And, you know, you know, it's real what y'all see, man. We got a real good relationships. There's nothing fake and phony. Do we always, you know, agree with everything? No. But we understand it's a time and a place where we can talk about those things, and it'll never be in front of the kids. You know, we always, if it's any type of discrepancies, you know, we'll talk about it as men. And Coach Mosley is a good enough leader where, like, he's not offended or he's not feel threatened. You know, if you don't agree with something he did that particular day, you know, he'll sit down with you and talk with you and allow you to talk and have your opinion. And you know, all head coaches not like that, but you know, I happen to work for one that is, you know, and I love that about him, man. And so, you know, I'm just blessed, man. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you guys for listening. You know, I enjoyed every part of this panel tonight, man. And you know, hope to see y'all soon, man. Hopefully y'all make a trip to LA, and if y'all do, man, y'all come down and come check us out.
Definitely. And I appreciate, you know, obviously Coach Rob, Coach Ken, and Coach Mosley for coming on and sharing tonight. Appreciate everyone that joined. joined on with us tonight. This was really cool. Obviously, getting to watch the episodes. I don't, hopefully you have. If you haven't, I would strongly recommend getting to watch the episodes, and then obviously getting to talk to them on a different level and hear the stories, and you see the genuineness and like Coach Mosley was saying, the authenticity, that it wasn't just for the cameras. It really is who they are. So appreciate you guys coming on again. Everyone that joined, all three of our panelists, the ELAC, the coaching staff. Appreciate y'all, and we'll be back. Not sure if we'll go weekly this year. I know recruiting's about to get cranked back up, so we may go every other week or every couple weeks. But obviously, we'll be posting on social media. So again, thank y'all for joining, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, fellas.
Hey, Ken.
Thank you. I'm here.
Hey, this is Price, man. Stay